Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys. What are you talking about?
Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Arena, a Multiplatform Gaming News Podcast. This is episode 127. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burley of Burleyman Gaming and Turn-Based Carl. How you guys doing, man? Hey, have you guys ordered... I have a question for you. Have you guys ordered your Series S toasters yet?
Do we actually think this is a real thing?
It's got to be. It's got to be. I mean, yeah, it looks real to me. I don't know.
The fridge was one thing because that was cool. This, I'm like, no. And especially with like the mock price, like, because I don't know if this actually, like Carl said, is real. The price they want for this toaster, I could buy something better and save like 80, 90 bucks. I think it was like $200 and something they priced this. I was like,
oh my God, that's an expensive toaster.
And how much is the fridge? The Series X fridge?
It's not that expensive, right?
It was 80 something bucks here in Canada. So like 50 American.
And they got them. Like when I go to Target, they're just there.
Yeah.
Speaking of like stuff being in stores, I actually saw a PS5 the other day.
Yeah.
Actually, I did see a PS4 weirdly in some other store, but I did see a PS5 for the first time, like in a Walmart. It was the God of War Ragnarok bundle. They had one PS5 bundle and they had two Series X Forza bundles.
No, cool.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, I mean, if
did I buy it? No, I didn't buy it. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for like the games I want to play already.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the PS4, I mean, the only place you can really find PS4s now are kind of like in the used shops that we have out here. Or if you go to Akiba, you'll find them everywhere still. But yeah, most like book offs or, the used stores, you'll see them, discounted. But yeah, it's everywhere. It's a PS5 now. And of course, Switch and Xbox. All right, so we got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about the Microsoft situation. Obviously, Microsoft is also getting into the mobile space. We're going to be talking about that We're going to be talking about the CMA developments and all, as well as trade talks between Japan and the United States. The situation with Microsoft and Sony is coming up even in those.
That was funny.
In those deliberations. We're going to talk about that. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. We got a new trailer this past week for that, a story trailer. We're going to show you that, as well as another game that, Carl is really excited about. We're going to talk about it later on in the show. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, our topic of the show, Resident Evil. Of course, Resident Evil 4 Remake is now out. But are we going to get more after 4? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss that as well. And, of course, our picks of the week for the week of March 27th through April 2nd are going to be, talked about later on in the show. But before we get into the games that we've been playing this past week and all, I just want to say for all of you that are new to the show here, especially here on our main platform, YouTube, please be sure to hit that like and the subscribe and the notification bell to be notified about each and every video that we drop here, whether it's gaming related or any of our entertainment and pop culture related content as well. So, So with that, first of all, before we get into the games that we've been playing this past week, here's a brief word about where you can find this podcast in audio and video formats.
Crew discuss what they have been playing. This episode of The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast's ad-free version in audio and video formats, will be going to Patreon after being recorded. So if you would like to support the show and become a patron at the entry Tier 1 level at $1 per month and get every episode including exclusive ad-free post-show content in video format when recorded, please visit patreon.com/thearena_podcast for further details. The audio version of the podcast will be uploaded to all free podcast services, where you can find us on any podcast app for iOS or Android, and in the video version will be on our YouTube channel, The Arena Productions. For the audio version, just download your favorite podcast app and search for The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast. Subscribe, follow us, post a review, and leave us questions, comments, and feedback if you like. If that feature is available there, then spread the word about the podcast. We also have a Discord called The Arena Podcast, where you can join and chat with the Arena Podcast community, and the podcast audio website is at thearenapodcast.podbean.com, where you can follow us and leave questions and comments as well. For all information regarding the podcast and our entertainment and pop culture related content, along with our blog and forums, visit the official website of The Arena Productions at www.thearenaproductions.com. Finally, you can also follow us on Twitter at The Arena, AMPGNP, as well as on Instagram at The Arena_podcast. Now, back to the show.
Okay, guys, just with all the content that I was putting up this week, and especially the Star Trek content that we were doing this week, one of any of you that come out that were watching our Star Trek stuff that are coming to check out our gaming content here, I want to say thank you so much for coming, and all the new subscribers and everything. We really appreciate you, and thank you so much for your support. I was really busy with the content creation this week, but I did get a chance. I did play a little bit of Horizon Forbidden West, just doing some side quests, because I'm really getting worked up for Burning Shores. It's going to be coming out soon. So I just want to go and do some extra side quests just to get myself back into the game, get the feel for the controls again, and to do all of that, because I really want to play Burning Shores when it comes out. That's a day one for me, I think. So, so Horizon Forbidden West I was playing this week. Burley, I'll start with you. What were you playing this past week?
Oh, you just remind me. I really need to download Horizon back on my PS5. DLC's out, I think, like April 19th. I've been playing Metroid Prime, the remaster. I've been having fun with that game, but I honestly can say, since if you're gonna they're selling it and doing a remaster and making they up the graphics and stuff like that, I wish they would add a little bit more to if you get lost in that game, because it is very easy to get your lost in that. And I do not like the map system in that one as much to point people, because like I played the game almost 20 years ago, and there's a lot of stuff I've just forgotten. And it's just like I feel for people, if this is people to get them into the Metroid Prime line, you could have done a little bit better to make it easier for people to get in and wanting to.
I see. Yeah. I mean, it's not a remake, so I get it. And they're not going to add, they didn't add like the modernized, like you have a quest and they're going to put it right on the map with an arrow that tells you how to get there.
Yeah.
Anything else, Burley? Was that it?
Well, just other than that, it's just been Mario Kart.
Mhm.
I do have RE4. I just haven't had a remake. I just haven't had a second to play it, because every time I have it loaded up on the Steam Deck, I'm like, oh, let's try this out on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Phone rings every time. It's like, oh.
Yeah. That's the thing about content creation too. It's like throwing some of these videos up here on YouTube, and one of the last videos got like 35,000 views, and I was just getting comment after comment after comment. And of course, as a good content creator, you always want to try to reply as soon as possible to the people that are commenting to you. And I was just really, really inundated with a lot of comments. So trying to, get time away from that to play a game was very difficult because of, the replies to a lot of the comments, but it was worthwhile. So. Yeah, Carl, how about you?
Did anybody say why didn't they take the cloaking device from the Defiant? That's what I was trying to say. So wouldn't that been the obvious choice? If you're a Star Trek listener, you'll understand.
Yeah, spoilers, of course. Yeah, if you have not watched the episode yet, please, scratch that part. Yeah. So.
I think it's vague enough. You won't know what I mean. He's not going to spoil it.
Yeah. All right, Carl, what have you been playing this past week?
You know what? I finished Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I finished the story, and I also as soon as I finished the story, I already had enough ready to go to do that last thing that Burley was talking about. Whatever. I didn't know what percentage or level it was, because I was already there. I was like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go.
I think you got to be level 34 for that.
Okay, yeah, 34. I was already there, so I didn't have to do anything extra. The story is nothing amazing. I think it's like acceptable, passable, good enough, that type of category. It's not bad in any way. I like enough of it, right? Obviously, they could go further, and so there's things that could be improved, right, for the sequel. Right? You can do.
Were you satisfied with your ending?
There is, as far as I know, there aren't other endings. I don't know, because there's the little thing after that, which is kind of just like the House Cup sort of thing, like kind of wrapping up like the school year.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not really that. Like, honestly, I would say if for some reason you don't want to play the extra content, do all the extra stuff that you might need to do depending on how far along you are, don't bother. It's not really worth it.
Okay.
But if you enjoy the game like I did, I enjoyed doing a lot of the side content, then go ahead. Like, I think it's a great game. I mean, I want to say like it's, I don't know, like 8.5, 9 even, because all the things that are not amazing are still good and enjoyable, right? And I see the potential to even do more. So like, it's great. Really enjoyed that game a lot. Just had a ton of fun doing everything I was doing in the game. And I could see by the end of it, it could be just too much repetitiveness if you're already done, like Endgame. If you were talking about Endgame, like, there's nothing really to it. You've sort of exhausted everything, and you're just kind of doing more of the same. It shouldn't be that. Doesn't have to be that type of game. I got my probably 40 hours, maybe, which maybe is more than I should have, because I had the second game. But whatever. It's totally worth my time.
Nice.
And then I jumped into another game, and I went back to Persona 4 Golden.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's I like the murder
Oh, yeah.
mystery. It's not as good as Persona 5, for sure.
Oh yeah.
And anybody who says that Persona 4 is better, I don't know what you're talking about. Because it's just dated. It's dated, and there are things about it that like I wish.
Well, it's Persona 4 is basically the Persona 5 of the 20 teens. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's originally like a
Right.
12 maybe PS2 game.
Yeah,
Right? It's old.
Well, I played it on the Vita, and it had been out for a while. So
No, wait, 2000. I think I looked it up. I think it was 2008.
It's 2008.
Yeah, I think it's
2008 on the PS2, 2012
And
on
then
the Vita.
2012 on
if
the
I'm
Vita,
not-
yeah. And it
That
took
sounds- yeah.
off. It took off on the Vita. I mean, it exploded on the Vita. So yeah.
So it's a very old game. There are aspects I'm like, I wish it had this like newer, more modernized aspects to it. But it is very much like you see the DNA of like Persona is once you played. Now I've played 2 of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, like this is they didn't change the formula all that much. They've just refined it in 5 to be something like incredible.
I just don't know how they could do better than 5 with 6. I just think of that, and I mean, what could they
expand.
make better? What could they make better of this franchise of game? To make it better than 5. I mean, 5 was a masterpiece.
Here's where I could give you some things is
Mhm.
dungeons, right? Dungeons in 4 to 5, huge difference, right? Dungeons are
Right.
custom like original design dungeons versus in 4 they are just like procedurally generated like sort of randomized floors.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they have a different aesthetic. I've only played the first dungeon, so I'm assuming you go to the next one, it has a different. The first one's a castle one. I'm sure it looks like something different, right? But it's just going to be like window dressing, kind of. It's not like in 5. But in 5, I think they could go even further for dungeons and make those dungeons even more elaborate,
Okay.
and more interesting, and more of a like. Because it felt like in 5, like I could kind of just blow through the whole dungeon in one go,
Mhm.
for the most part.
Yeah.
If you were skilled enough, you came in prepared to your dungeon with enough items. Because like I think I can't remember if it was the second palace or the first palace. I did on my first day that you could go. I got to the end, got the item, and then put my calling card.
I think I did everyone on the first day, with the exception of like when they forced you to like go out.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah. Whereas in 4, I've already had to go do it multiple times. So like, and I think it's just because the way it's set up, it's more of an attrition. Like you just don't have enough like health and magic just to get through it was 8 floors in the first dungeon, right? So I think like that, but I like that aspect. So like I think in 5 they can do more to like make it so that you have to do that, right? Because I like the fact that we have to go back, like we can't do everything. We're not just gonna blow through it, like it's nothing. So
Okay, we at least make it like you can get through on the first day, like 2 of the 8 floors. Okay, we got something. We got a teleport point to spawn us on second floor.
Yeah,
Come back day 2 to try and see if we can get to the 3rd and 4th. Make points on every floor, every 2 floors.
Yeah, I mean, like
slowly.
In 5, how there were intentional points where they're like, you have to do something in the real world to change their perception so that it changes in the palace. Like more stuff like that, where like there's things you have to do to change the palace. I think that'd be cool to do a lot. Like I want to feel more involved in the palace, going back and forth to it.
Yeah.
And of course, I think locations could be more robust that you walk around in. There's not a lot to do in them. They're often like kind of small, and some of them are just like one screen.
Yeah.
It's like you can definitely do more with that. And there's probably a lot of things. But anyway, those quick thoughts on that. But yeah, Persona 4, great. Music is good. There's not a lot of tracks, I'd say. Like you're kind of listening to the same 1 or 2, like, and they're good, but they're not as good as what's in 5.
Yeah. And
combat is very similar. I kind of like the shuffle card thing at the end of a battle. I feel like because it's a little bit gamification of like, all right, like I can get some health back, or I can get a persona, or I can get a buff. I could take a loss to my experience to get more card options. Like I do like that. So maybe something of that vein comes back would be cool.
No.
Yeah. And then one more thing.
I'll
Go
let
ahead.
you go.
Oh, yeah. Was it about Persona?
Yeah, it was Persona. For me, to help, because like I still haven't finished 5, is like when you're in between palaces and just waiting for things to go for the story. Like if you finish a palace on the first day, you gotta wait days for that change of
Run
heart.
out the days,
Yeah, like, and it's just like I'm mashing the X button and just like I am bored to freaking tears. Like that kind of stuff. There's a lot of padding in my feel that you could cut to make things better. Like if you complete a palace early, give me the option. Hey, do you want to hit square to go to the day of change of heart? And just you can say, hey, you're going to miss out time with your friends to max out social links. But it's like I would rather take that because like just some of this conversation stuff and some of the stuff while you're waiting the days are just boring. And it's like this feels like so much padding, and that's what cut me off the game for a while, because it's just like I'm sitting, I'm doing this. There are other games I could go play right now and just go do things and feel rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel it's a little quicker in 4, maybe because it just feels like there's kind of less options, but it's very similar. I see what you mean. Yeah, you could probably. Like I said, with making the dungeons, you have to go to it more times would probably alleviate that. So it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just waiting. It's like, no, like it's more progression, right? Like I have to do something here, and then I have to do a couple things in between. Then I have to do more in the dungeon. I have to do more in the dungeon, right? Instead of just like knocking it out. And they're like, all right, I guess I'll wait, Yeah. That's like design. You sort of need to do all that stuff. So like if you skip it, you'd be at a disadvantage. So the other thing I played was a little bit of Diablo 4 open beta.
Oh, the beta. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. It's open to all. Actually, someone gave me a key on a Discord, but I missed it and I didn't play last weekend. But so I tried this weekend. I tried the Druid. And yeah, it's cool. He's beefy. I kind of thought you could be able to like change the body size, but he's like a thick dude. I thought I'd have a choice, but I didn't. So which is whatever. I guess that's the character. Yeah. I got really, really sleepy playing this game. And that doesn't mean I didn't like it. I'm always like on the edge of being tired anyway. But I think it is something to do with like the early aspect of the game. Like I thought it was interesting. I like the characters. I like the story that they're presenting and the world design. It's sort of open ended and you can go a lot of places. And but the early level, you have like one attack, and I'm just holding down A. I'm walking to enemies, holding down A, holding down A, holding down A, and like that repetitive was like getting me real sleepy. But I was interested in the story, and when I have more abilities, I think it'll be more interesting. It's kind of annoying that they lock out your preset assign abilities. So like at first level, you get an ability, okay, and then I assign it to A, and then the next level you get another point, and you can spend it on another ability, but you're locked down on assigning any other buttons. So if you pick another ability, you can only use one at a time. I'm like, that's annoying. So like I'm at level 5 and I have 2, but like at 2 out of I assume like 6 or so that I can use. I think all the face buttons and I think the triggers or the buttons. I think. I'm like, don't do that. Let me get my abilities and assign all of them right away, because I want to like feel like I'm doing strategy. At this point, I feel like I'm just walking up to every enemy, holding down A, and there's a dodge thing that you can do, but like there's kind of a long cooldown on it. So like I'm only doing it when I fought the first boss. I'm like, oh, okay, I should dodge away out of his attack so he's not hitting me. Okay, I didn't feel like I was doing that much, so. It's a cool game. It looks cool. The story is intriguing for sure. It's a pretty game, and hopefully, just when you unlock more things, it gets more fun for me.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it probably won't be on Game Pass day one. I mean, but I don't know whether or not I would want to play it day one or not.
Oh, but, God. You don't even want to, if you love the game, the first couple of weeks, you're not going to like it, because you know what happens every time, just like with these betas, Blizzard doesn't put enough in the servers. There's long queues and all this and that. This is why I like anytime a Blizzard game. I learned that with Diablo 3 the hard way, and paid the price on that. And
well, I loved Reaper of Souls. I mean, in Diablo 3 and all, but I just I think I could wait for a little while before I actually put a lot of time and effort into the game. So we'll see.
Yeah, I played it at about 2:30 on Friday, and I had a 57-minute queue time.
Jeez.
So, but that was like early on the first day. I get it.
Yeah.
I know people complain about it, and I understand it sucks. The reality is, like, if you heard about the numbers that they got, like millions of people jumping into this beta.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you're talking about millions of people actively trying to play one single game on 3 specific days.
Yeah.
I get it. Like it's
a short window.
Yeah. So like when the game launches, I guarantee you those first couple of days, probably gonna have some queues, but it'll even out real quick. And like people are like, oh, that should never happen. I'm like, well, guess what? The server space is limited. You can't just like, we're gonna make it so that we can have 10 million players, and then a week later you have 2 million players at once. Yeah. And because everybody wanted to play it immediately at the same time, and now they're spreading out. So now you're wasting all that server space. Like you wouldn't do that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I do get it where you're coming from on that. It's just like, but Blizzard knows. Blizzard has always done shrunken really small servers for all their stuff when they launch. Like when the paid beta last weekend, because I knew someone that paid in, and he's like, yeah, I had a 2.5 hour queue time to get in, and it's like I paid to be there. And it's like that stuff cuts into your play time and all this and that. It's like, I'm sorry, Blizzard and Activision are not small companies. They have the money. They've done this before, putting small servers. They should, especially with the paid beta, you should have an idea of roughly, let's say it's 2.5 million paid, and like a million from the KFC thing, because they had the KFC. You should be able to spec out and put servers to handle that.
But you assume that they want to, right? Because it doesn't financially make sense sometimes. I would think it wouldn't, to try to make sure that everybody who's going to jump in immediately on that day, when in reality you're never going to have anywhere near that amount of players on the average day.
I would say it does make sense too, because you want a good impression. I want like the guys that are coming in that are paying to be there. They want to be able to tell. They want them to have an awesome experience. Tell all of us and be like, oh, "Okay, you had a great experience. Oh, maybe I should buy in and buy the game."
Hey, I hear what you're saying, but people are saying the game's great, and it's probably a FOMO thing. People are like, they want to get in. They have the, like they're like, I can't play. I want to play. It's making them want it more.
Yeah. From what I do see, it does look good. Like I didn't like how Diablo 3 changed the whole skill set from 2. I'm interested with 4, but honestly, I'm just gonna wait till we can get it on like Game Pass or something, because I have no desire. Because here it's $100 game, and it's like I'm not spending $100 on this.
Yeah, let's talk about
especially
that
at day one.
Yeah.
We got a story that might be about relating to that.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. But first, let's go ahead and jump into the weekly news beat. So each and every week here on the Arena Multiplatform Gaming News Podcast, we talk about some of the biggest stories in the world of video games and game development, of course, that happened during the week. And this one, it's a little interesting because, Microsoft wants to get into the mobile space, obviously. So Microsoft's new Xbox mobile gaming store may launch in 2024, and Activision Blizzard games are key to Microsoft's mobile gaming push. So this is from the article over at The Verge. So I'm going to read a little bit of it for you, and then we're going to talk about it. So Microsoft is getting ready to launch its Xbox mobile gaming store as soon as next year. The software giant revealed its plans for an Xbox mobile store last year, and now Xbox chief Phil Spencer says the company is building the store in the anticipation of companies like Apple and Google being forced to open their mobile app stores. Quote, what we want to be in a position to offer Xbox and content from both us and our third-party partners across any screen where somebody would want to play, end quote, said Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer in an interview with the Financial Times. Quote, today, we can't do that on mobile devices, but we want to build towards a world that we think will be coming where those devices are opened up. Microsoft first hinted at a, quote, next generation store, end quote, early last year, just a month after the company announced its proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. The Xbox mobile store is designed to rival Apple and Google's mobile gaming store dominance and will rely on content from Activision Blizzard like Call of Duty Mobile and Candy Crush Saga, two hugely popular mobile games published by Activision and King, respectively. So my question to you guys is this a smart strategy for Microsoft to try to get into this mobile space? Obviously, with Apple and Google just dominating the market. I mean, do you think that they can be successful with this? Carl, I will start with you on this.
You know, I'm a little confused as to what they're really going to achieve with this, because is it going to be just games? Okay. Is it going to have Call of Duty Mobile and Candy Crush? Okay. But like, are they going to take those away from other stores?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to make people happy. I don't know what else they're going to offer in these stores. Is it going to have Game Pass related to it? I don't really know. I'm kind of a bit of loss. Like, I get the idea, like having another a mobile store and competing with them is good, right? They need competition. Competition is good. Another competitor, another option to buy things. But what else are they really going to offer besides games that you've already been getting elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with Candy Crush, I mean that is a huge game worldwide, especially out here in Japan. It's big. I mean, and it's morphed into other different versions of that game as well. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think that Microsoft wants to get into that space, into the mobile space, because I think Microsoft realizes that mobile gaming is going to be the future. And it already is out here in Asia in particular. Of course, the cloud gaming space, they're really focusing on as well. But I think that the mobile is something that they really want to get into. And I think with the Blizzard deal and Activision Blizzard, they can really focus on that more. And this article also talks about, regulators getting involved, especially in the EU, when it comes to, Apple and Google, of course, being a monopoly on this market when it comes to their stores, like the Apple Store on iOS, and then, of course, Google and Android. So with regulators being able to step in on this, maybe they'll be able to have a chance of competing. I don't know. Burley, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, since we don't have a full a full plan from them, what they're going to be doing, we can only speculate. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not going to take away the stuff that's already on the stores, because that is just stupid. That would just be the dumbest thing, because you take away, let's say, just Candy Crush and Call of Duty Mobile away. Mm-hmm. There'll be people that will follow, but there'll be a massive majority be like, now I got to go to the Microsoft store. I got to make an account with Microsoft. I've been using my iTunes account, my Apple account, my Google account for the last X amount of years. I don't want to make another account. I'm not doing that. And there will be people that will go without. Like, I want to see it for competition, but is King going to be enough to do their own store?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean,
you're gonna need so many of these third-party app developers, mm-hmm. and go to them and get it. I remember, because when I was in college, they launched the Windows Phone, and I went to a little event Microsoft actually held to mm-hmm. They were giving out software development codes for the software and all that, so you could learn to code and make apps for the Windows Store.
Mhm.
And it was just like that didn't take off very well. So
Yeah.
like this is gonna be one hell of a fight to get into. And
Mhm.
I don't know, like it is getting into mobile is good for long term if you can get in there and stay, but trying to fight both Google and Apple on this, this isn't gonna be an easy battle.
Yeah, but I think
Like-
also with Microsoft being out here and trying to, firm up relationships out here in Japan, it's not only with the console market, it's probably also with the mobile developers.
Oh,
well.
I'm
And,
sure it is, but how well are you gonna go with these? Like, let's say all these Japanese studios, they've been, working with Apple and Google for the last 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And they've got good relationships. Microsoft has to offer them a hell of an incentive and take little more losses on that to get them to go on their platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's possibility that people view it as, oh, this is like a dedicated gaming thing. And maybe more people are likely to go to it for that than like the Apple or Google store is just like anything is on there. So I don't, how like there's Apple Arcade, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the Netflix games now.
Yeah.
So like you look at those two and those don't seem like super gaming related. So if they can grab the sort of content that's on those type of things and put that on their store.
And who's to say
yeah.
Amazon might jump into this as well? I mean, Amazon is getting into gaming, full bore now, particularly in the console market with the next Tomb Raider game. But we shall see when it comes to mobile. I mean, who knows? Amazon might throw their hat into it as well. But.
Yeah, and then I mean Bethesda had a bunch of mobile things too, right? They had Elder Scrolls Blades, right, and they had Diablo Immortal and the Mighty Doom,
Fallout Shelter.
There you go. Yeah. So like all that's going to be there, but again, those are available elsewhere. So like I don't know exactly how you're going to sell it and get people to want to go to that version. We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. So possibly launching in 2024. So we will keep our eyes out for that. So good stuff. All right, next up, let's talk about the CMA. So Activision Blizzard, obviously, with the CMA. So the CMA has narrowed their scope of concerns. So I will go ahead and throw you the link to the story here. So, of course, this is from the www.gov.uk. So interesting stuff here. So I'll read a little bit of it for you. So the CMA has received a significant amount of new evidence from the loads of evidence they had, related to both the console gaming and cloud gaming services. So they had provisional findings, of course. Having considered this new evidence carefully, though, together with the wide range of information gathered before those provisional findings were issued, the CMA Inquiry Group has updated its provisional findings and reached the provisional conclusion that overall the transaction, being, of course, the Activision Blizzard deal for Microsoft, will not result in a substantial lessening of competition in relation to console gaming in the UK, which is very, very big. So the most significant new evidence provided to the CMA relates to Microsoft's financial incentives to make Activision games, including Call of Duty, exclusive to its own consoles. While the CMA's original analysis indicated that this strategy would be profitable under most scenarios, new data, which provides better insight into the actual purchasing behavior of Call of Duty gamers, indicates that this strategy would be significantly loss-making under any plausible scenario. On this basis, the updated analysis now shows that it would not be commercially beneficial to Microsoft to make Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox following the deal, but that Microsoft will instead still have the incentive to continue to make the game available on PlayStation. So this is big. So, I mean, basically the CMA is most likely going to, when their final findings come out, I think it's at the end of April. The final report is on, it's supposed to come out on April 26th. So I think this pretty much is a done deal in their case, I think now. Carl, one more time, I'll start with you on this. What do you think? I mean, do you think this CMA conclusion that comes in April is going to be a done deal for the acquisition, which will make all the rest of the dominoes fall when it comes to, like the FTC?
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way. This is a huge shift in what they had previously said, and it gets rid of the things that everybody thought was really in the way of them passing this deal. The stuff, anything that Sony was kind of pointing out and saying that Call of Duty was, how important it was and what it was going to do to the market. They have now looked at the evidence and that Microsoft has argued against every point that Sony has given them, and understood that, that's actually correct. This will not lessen competition.
Yeah.
And Sony can survive on their own without it. This is not something that they will suddenly be foreclosed on anything,
right.
and that's it. Sony's got to close up shop,
They're not going to suddenly collapse. Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, specifically, there's some people have been putting up clips from the documents, and there's one here where they say, in case of partial foreclosure, however, PlayStation would not lose in this redacted percentage of its range. Rather, another redacted percentage of its range would suffer a quality deterioration that would likely represent only a small fraction of the value that gamers derive from Call of Duty. As such, a partial foreclosure strategy would amount to deterioration in a small fraction of a redacted percentage of PlayStation's range.
Yeah.
So that little snip right there says that the number that they previously talked about, like, no, that's actually, we realized that was actually wrong. Yeah. And Microsoft's data that they showed us says that actually, no, it's a very small percentage of PlayStation gamers that would actually leave PlayStation, even if you completely took Call of Duty away from the platform.
Right.
And that's kind of
because the majority of PlayStation gamers, I mean, other than Call of Duty, they're playing all the exclusives. They're playing Spider-Man. They're playing God of War. They're playing The Last of Us. They're playing all the big exclusive games. And of course with Insomniac, of course now, with also Ratchet and Clank. I mean, so they have a boatload of exclusives, and we're going to talk about exclusives. Yeah, but in the next case, but
it's third parties too. You got your Maddens and FIFAs, and even your
Final
Fortnite,
Fantasy,
Fortnite, Final Fantasy, right? But like all the hugely popular games that are out there that are on every platform, like what they're saying is like, look, there are some people that might leave PlayStation completely for Xbox if there was no Call of Duty on the platform. But generally speaking, the vast majority of people would probably, I would assume, keep PlayStation and also get an Xbox, right?
Well, I'd probably say at least half of the players out there probably have both anyway. They're multi-platform gamers.
Already do.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that factors into that percentage.
Yes.
Like the console market is often like that. A lot of us buy multiple consoles or even all three generally.
Right. Right. If I want to play a PlayStation exclusive, I need to have a PlayStation. If I want to play something on Xbox that isn't on PlayStation, obviously I have to have an Xbox. If I want to play Zelda, I have to play it on a Switch. So
So with this now, it's all the only concern that they say they still have is related to the cloud gaming market.
Yeah.
Which I feel like Microsoft has sufficiently addressed with all these deals with all these other cloud companies.
Right.
It's very clear that if you don't have a subscription service, right, then and you're offering a cloud service that allows you to buy games and play them however their cloud service works, Microsoft's like, yeah, you can have our games. Not only can you have our Xbox games, first party, you can have the Activision Blizzard games that we're going to eventually put on as well. Which makes sense because again, you shouldn't have to be required to put your subscription service stuff on other subscription services. So when people say like, Where's the deal for Amazon Luna? Well, Luna is a subscription service like library thing. And that's why they haven't made a deal with them, because they're not going to just, because that requires them to like, well, are you going to pay us to get this content on your platform? And I'm sure Luna's like, no, fuck, we can't afford Call of Duty on our platform. Like, what are you talking about? Like on our scripts for our subscription service.
Yeah.
Versus these other ones who are like, there doesn't cost anything. It actually helps Microsoft make money, because if you're using GeForce Now and you want to play Call of Duty, let's say, or you want to play Starfield, right?
Yeah.
You have to buy that game.
Right.
That helps Microsoft, because it's another place you can buy it. If for some reason you want to stream it on that service, now I can buy it. Like, that's all it is, So the CMA, if this thing passes, which it looks like it will, and it happens in April, then you got the UK's EC, European Commission, that delayed their date again to sometime in May. But it could happen before that. So those two passed. Then you got the FTC, which is
August, I think, or something.
September. So they got a lawsuit pending, and now it becomes like, will Microsoft try to close the deal while the lawsuit is still pending? Let's say in May or June.
Yeah,
we don't know. Or will by then they have convinced the the FTC, after these CMA and UK passes, to say you got to drop the suit, or they do drop the suit because they know they're going to lose.
Yeah. Burley, your thoughts?
I pretty much agree with you guys on this. Like, I'm glad to see they see the obvious on this. Like I've said for how long, most people, if you're playing PlayStation, if Microsoft was going to take Call of Duty away, most aren't going to jump ship and be like, PlayStation, I'm no longer going to buy PlayStation. They either play Call of Duty stuff, either on a PC, or they buy an Xbox. But Microsoft isn't going to just get rid of Call of Duty. They're not stupid enough to get rid of it off PlayStation, because they know it's going to sell, and they're in the business of making money.
Yeah. All right. Well, this acquisition is actually what's interesting. It's starting to get into, trade talks now. So the next story, of course, it's interesting, during trade talks with Japan, U.S. Senator called out PlayStation's monopoly defending Xbox. And this is from our friend Jez Gordon over at Windows Central. And what's interesting about this is, it's true not only with Xbox and PlayStation, but it's pretty much similar to everything that goes on with the trade situation between the United States and Japan. I mean, it goes back to the 1980s with automobiles, obviously. But I mean, now it's getting to the console market as well. I'm going to read a little bit of this for you. So the United States and Japan are currently engaged in talks to expand its operation in light of a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. One aspect of these talks involve trade. And surprisingly, Senator Maria Cantwell, who is the senator from the state of Washington, raised the issue of competition between Xbox and PlayStation. Recently, Microsoft held a press conference after conducting talks with the European Union over its deal to acquire Activision Blizzard for $69 billion. A big opponent of the deal is Japan-based multinational Sony, obviously, whose PlayStation platform remains a dominant player in the gaming landscape. Sony alleges that Microsoft could seek to foreclose the gaming giant by making games like Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox. And that's what we were talking about earlier, Carl, there. Something Microsoft vehemently denies. During its press conference, Microsoft fought back against the idea that it could negatively impact Sony's business following the deal, while noting that it has only a 2% market share in Japan when compared to PlayStation's 98%. Obviously, Nintendo was left out of this, and I'll explain in a second. It seems these statements have made their way to the United States Senate. So at a Senate Finance Committee hearing with U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai, Cantwell referred to the FTC defined, quote, high-end, in quote, game market in Japan as being utterly dominated by PlayStation. So that was a brilliant move by them to bring this up to side with Microsoft in the case of a high-end game market. Obviously, Nintendo is not a part of the high-end game market, so to speak. So, quote, I'm told that Sony controls a monopoly of 98% of the high-end game market, yet Japan's government has allowed Sony to engage in blatant anti-competitive conduct through exclusive deals and payments to game publishers. That is the big thing there. Engages in blatant anti-competitive conduct. And Japan has done that forever. Cars, television sets. I mean, for example, here in Japan, you cannot find a Samsung TV in a Japanese electronics store. I mean, it's just, when it comes to competition, they want to protect. There is so much protectionism here when it comes to the domestic market in Japan. And obviously, they want to protect PlayStation because PlayStation is a Japan-based company with Sony, right? So anyway, Cantwell went on to suggest that Japan's Fair Trade Commission had, quote, failed, end quote, to investigate Sony's, quote, exclusionary, end quote, conduct, and inquired how the region intended to create a, quote, level playing field, end quote. Tai responded, quote, that is absolutely an area that we are primed to address, end quote, according to Politico. Quote, this one is new for me, but let me take this back. I'm happy to follow up with you and your team on this, end quote. So, yeah, 2% market share, whereas PlayStation, 98% of the high-end gaming market. Yeah, interesting.
Hold on, who let them get up to 2%?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with that. Should be 0.5%.
Burley, your thoughts.
Clawed their way to that 2%. You know,
Burley, your thoughts. Yeah.
Jim, I thought you said they were only going to have 0.5%.
Nah.
We gotta fix this, Jim. Now, yeah, I was just about to say, ask you a little question here, XFAT. If you say the word in a Japanese electronics store, if you say the word Samsung, do they like chase you out with like a broom or something?
No, they would.
Like,
the majority of staff people in the stores, they probably know what Samsung is, but they would just say we don't have them here. Sorry.
Oh, you should have went along with the saying they chase you out. It's a forbidden word here, taboo word.
Yeah, but some of them might not know. They'd be like, in Japanese, they'd say, "Soriwa nan desu ka? Samsung wakaranai nai desu." We don't know what Samsung is. I'm sorry. Please explain what is a Samsung.
That'd be hilarious.
But I mean, most of the younger staff there.
I know what to try
when
I eventually come over there and you take me to some of these electronic stores. The first question I'm asking, you're just gonna walk away from it.
Yeah. I will walk away.
I don't know this guy.
That's right. No, in Japanese that means I don't know who this guy is. Yeah. Go ahead, Burley. Your thoughts.
Yeah, no, they're right for calling it out. Sony has. So this is why Sony should have just kept their mouth when this whole thing was going on. They should have just kept their mouth shut, tried to just do other business stuff, and tried to, sit and focus in other areas. Because all this energy and all this money they've wasted is just going to come back and bite them. Because in Japan they have all these little deals, like the big famous one, Square. All these Square games are not coming to Xbox anymore. Octopath Traveler 2. Final Fantasy 16 is PlayStation exclusive. Mm-hmm. And there's I know there's a few others I'm blanking off the top of my head. Let's just...
Yeah, I mean, they grabbed the Silent Hill 2 remake.
KOTOR
remake, that's not Japanese, but Stellar Blade. Which is an interesting one because that was Project Eve, and it was announced with as being on as what Xbox was one of the platforms, and now they're like, oh, it's exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah.
That might
Carl,
be
your thoughts
Korean,
on this?
though. Yeah, but still, Yeah, it's funny because the whole reason that this number exists is because the FTC and the CMA and the EC have narrowed the market to this high-end Xbox versus PlayStation. And they've left out Nintendo. So now they can say, well, now in Japan, we only have 2% of the market. And now someone is like, that doesn't make any sense. They only have 2% of the market, and you're allowing your companies to make exclusivity deals to block out the little guy who's got 2%. That, and so this is their fault. They created this. Sony was probably part of arguing this as well, as to say that Nintendo's a different market, and here we are. And they have a point, to be honest, because how are you supposed to compete as Xbox in Japan if you're not able to get these big games? Because Sony is able to, in some ways, you might say, collude with other Japanese countries to block out an American company, or even in the TV industry, Korean company. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. Will it mean anything? I don't know, but I think if anything, it might affect the FTC's case against this ABK deal, because they might look at this and be like, wait, how does they have such a small market percentage? How does Sony have such a large percentage? And then they're going to have to look at it and say, oh wait, Nintendo is actually part of this market. And then that won't help the fact that Xbox has such a small percentage in Japan, but it will change the argument in the FTC's case to look at and say, wait a minute, no, actually Nintendo has this big chunk of the market, and Sony has this big chunk of the market, and Xbox has this chunk of the market, and this isn't actually what we thought it was, and we can't hold this case again to stop Microsoft from buying ABK. So maybe that's how they end up dropping the case. Who knows?
But if you include Nintendo, does Xbox still only have 2%? Because I think if you have Nintendo and Sony, they're 0.5%.
Well,
Microsoft.
If you add in all of those other, they get even smaller in Japan.
Nintendo has the highest market share out here in Japan.
I was gonna say they would have the highest market share. Sony second. Microsoft third.
It's probably about I'd say about a 60. Probably about maybe even a 70-30 split now between Nintendo and PlayStation. I mean,
wouldn't it be wild if during some sort of trade agreement between the United States and Japan, and in there was a little thing about Sony can't make exclusivity deals with other Japanese publishers like Square Enix. Be friggin' hilarious if somehow that happened.
And that's never gonna happen though. It's not gonna get it's not gonna get that complex.
It could. Why not?
It could, but it probably won't. I mean, it won't get that.
Because if that was somehow the thing that a concession that they had to make in a trade deal between Japan and the US, that's kind of a really small thing that Japan would be like, yeah, whatever, it's not a big deal. Because even still, it doesn't make Xbox in Japan suddenly much bigger if they had Final Fantasy 16, for example, right? It would help, but
help them grow, but doesn't mean it's going to skyrocket. They're going to take 10% of the market instantly.
Yeah, it's not like they're going to go from 2% to even 10% that quickly, if that even happened.
Alrighty. I don't know, man. It's I've made videos about it. I've made shorts about it. I mean, you go into a Japanese electronics store and you think of the 2% versus 98%. I mean, it's 2% of the game section is related to Microsoft and Xbox, whereas 98% is dedicated to PlayStation and Nintendo. So I mean,
at least if you did the math on the floor space, I'm assuming it's larger than 2% versus 98%.
Yeah. But,
so hey,
it's 5%.
Yeah, exactly, Burley. About 5%. Yeah,
they're getting a decent
from the videos you've seen, you've posted, and I've seen.
Yeah, just
it's 5%, maybe 7%.
Well,
those
I mean,
of
I'm
you,
sure
those of you here on the Arena Productions that are watching here on the Arena Productions, of course, on the YouTube channel, just go to the short where I show, the Xbox, section there. So
Yeah,
you'll
I
see.
mean,
What
it could
mean.
be like an eighth of the size, right? Like
Yeah,
realistically speaking. So like they're getting a pretty decent representation for how tiny they are.
right. Yeah, I mean, obviously they are. I mean, but it's like just one block of shelf, and that's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
Mhm.
So,
Hey,
all right,
what would you expect for something that only has 2% of the market?
exactly. Exactly. All right. Okay. So next up, we're going to, of course, be talking about Jedi Fallen Order, or not Jedi Fallen Order, of course, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, which is coming out. So we got the story trailer this past week. So I'm going to show you some of that as we go ahead and look at the trailer here. And you can go, of course, over to YouTube and watch it there as well. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let me go ahead and get it started here, and I'll read a little bit about it. Says here that, when it comes to my computer's gone. Oh, well.
Oh,
Yeah.
all hail BD is all you need to know.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, Cal is on the run from the growing empire, even though he's grown stronger in his, of course, Jedi powers. The empire has grown, and you can see his Jedi powers are on full display. We see more of the favorite characters from the first game again. We still don't know quite what the story is, considering this is a story trailer, but it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the end of Fallen Order. So, yeah, how excited are you guys for this? And what do you think we're going to see in the story in respect to the first game? Burley, I'll start with you.
Well, first thing we got Take in the chat. Welcome on
Hey,
in.
Take.
Says hey guys.
Hey.
I think in this one, I'm very excited for this. This is a game I will be picking up. I think this is just going to be Cal mostly just going on not only on the run, but just exploring the galaxy, seeing how the Empire is, and just learning more about the worlds.
Yeah.
And
It looks amazing. You guys there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you said it
quiet
looks
so
amazing.
quickly.
Yeah.
so quiet.
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, you know me, Carl. I'm working on all the stuff on my end here to make sure
Yeah,
this
it's fine,
keeps
it's
running.
fine.
But anyway, yeah, go ahead, man.
It's one of those games where like I love the first game and I'm not paying a ton of attention to everything they release. Like I didn't even watch this until now because I already know I want to play it. And I don't feel like I need to know anymore. Like I saw the original like reveal trailer and I'm like, looks amazing. All right, I'm already into it.
Was that Coruscant there? I wonder.
I don't know.
I
should maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I want to buy it. I feel like I should buy it day one. It's one of those things. Or I haven't been buying a lot of games day one anymore, just because I'm always playing something on Game Pass. So like, if the timing works out right, or I'm not really like deep into something I love, then I'll get like Hogwarts Legacy, like I did day one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't. I'm excited. I should. When does this come out? Because I should probably maybe try to plan for that.
It's like
comes out end of April. Yep, next month.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll think about that.
Yeah.
I think it's April 29th because it's like 9. It's like 9 or April 28th. It's like 9 days after Horizon. Not much.
There you go.
April 28th.
28th. Yeah.
Okay. I love seeing that the woman there from the previous game. I forgot what was she. She had that like. She was using the Force, but it was different. It was I forget what they called it.
Yeah. No, she was a great character, but she comes in such late in the game that you get her to join the crew. So it'd be nice to see more with her interaction. But I kind of like that they haven't just done the story trailer where you know everything about the story from watching the 2-minute trailer and be like, okay, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. It's like, oh, nice. This actually just shows me him just going to other planets, other worlds, just exploring and dealing with the Empire. That's all I need to be shown.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it? So, I mean, this is going to be like minor spoilers from the first game. So, those of you that haven't played the first game yet, you might want to tune out for about 10, 15 seconds. But anyway, in the first game, wasn't at the end of the game, there was some kind of like holocron or something like that he destroyed that had like information about children throughout the galaxy that had force powers that the Empire was looking after.
Yep.
So I'm wondering
Right.
I'm wondering in this game if he's going to go out and look for some of those younglings or some of those children with force powers to save them. Maybe he's on a mission to save these people that have force powers. I don't know. What do you guys think?
He's gonna find Grogu.
Yeah, he'll find Grogu. Yeah, of course. In a DLC package, Grogu is going to
Right.
be in it, I'm sure. Yeah. So,
Oh yeah, if they don't have Grogu, 0 out of 10.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but he kind of like, from what I remember of the game, he ends off being like not like destroying it and being like he doesn't want to go that route because of potentially putting them in danger.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
who knows? We don't know unfortunately till the game comes out, or unless they start doing events now and spoil everything. And please, hopefully they don't. Just show us combats. If you want to show us some new force powers and new combat options, great. That's all I need to see. Or
we're
BD
probably
gonna be playable.
We're probably going to get one
not-
more trailer, like a release date, trailer, like a week before the game comes out. So we shall see.
Yeah, I kind of hope that. I mean, I feel like the first game was mostly like its own thing. It had relation to obviously points in the timeline we already knew, like Order 66. Because every Jedi that's alive has to have some sort of like traumatic Order 66 moment, right?
Yeah.
We saw that in The Mandalorian, like with Grogu, which I'm getting really tired of all that, and so I kind of like that, like.
Okay. Save it, Carl. Save it for our Star Wars Republic show.
But like Cal's story kind of was his own thing, and he meets his own character, these other characters, and everybody goes places that mostly unrelated. And like the Inquisitors, we've seen them other places. Like they're an easy enemy to reuse, but they're using different Inquisitors, right? That we haven't really seen. I don't know if they ever showed up in anything else. Those specific Inquisitors, but. And then, of course, Vader did show up, right? But like, that's just they're always going to do something like that. So I kind of hope in this one, they don't go the direction of like, oh, we're going to run into this character or that character. Like, just let us have its own unique story and let it go its own place and be its separate thing. Tired of all the member berries and all in Star Wars and all the you got to know this lore and that lore to understand why this means this and that means that. Like, you said the holocron thing, and I was like, is he talking about Rebels? Because I know there was a lot of holocron stuff in that. So like, I can't keep it all straight anymore. There's too much of it.
Yeah, we can tell.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to go forward with this one specific character in this one specific story.
Yeah. We shall see. Well, let's move on, because this is one that was particularly close to Carl, and we got some information on it. Of course, it's a new Sims competitor. It's called Life by You. And Carl, I'm going to let you take it away here. So these creation tools, discussion of that. So let's talk about Life by You. What kind of game is this now? So,
did you even get the video? The video? Oh, there it is. All right.
Yeah.
Life by You. Yeah, it's a life simulator like Sims. And but this one is going toward, if you played any of the Sims game, it's open world like Sims 3 was. So they're going to that. They're going to the aspect of like you can play any character at any time, right? You can go to any part of the world and see what's going on there. There's no loading screens ever. And they're doing the idea of like everything is customizable in creation tools, right? And to the point where like the tools are actually almost like mod tools. Actually, they are, right? They're giving
Cool.
you the tools to do things like, so in this version, and quickly here, they're showing there's real conversations, right? It's not just like Simlish, like they, which I don't know. I actually don't know what they sound like when they talk. I don't think they're going to have voice acting, but there is like dialogue actually written out of what they're saying, and the choices that you have when you talking to someone actually are conversations of written dialogue. And that dialogue, they said, will depend on things like your relationship with that character, where you are and what you're doing. And there's like, you know, I think this is like hundreds of thousands of like dialogue options, right? But if that's not enough for you, you can create your own conversations, and you can throw them in the game with these like mod tools that like dialogue trees of like, you know, if I say this or that, and like if this character does this, you can control all of that. Objects, you know, here they're showing all the things: item creator, shop creator, object creator, like career creator. So like you can create your own different careers and quests, recipes,
That's
and
awesome.
skills and traits. Anything in the game, basically, you can create your own version of it and change it. They showed like object creation, changing interactions. Well, and a funny one they showed was like a bush. You can turn a bush into a toilet. So if you want your characters to be able to pee in a bush, you can just do that. You can make that a thing in your game, right? And that's just one example. I'm sure if you want to make them pee in like a photo booth, I'm sure you can make them do that. Right? Anything that's in the game, you can change and modify, and that's really awesome. But on top of that, it just looks like a Sims game that's like, we're gonna make a base Sims game that has all the basic features that you would expect in a Sims game, right? And all those are going to be robust and modern, right? And we're not going to have. I have the feeling that when they add expansions to this, they are going to be more like, you know, how City Skylines did it, where like they added these things that feel like additional gameplay elements that weren't there that you might have wanted, that aren't just like the basic things that you sort of expected from playing other versions of the game or this type of game, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, because that's the thing. Like Sims, with what EA has done with it, and just how much of it is just, hey, you want this, you got to buy this pack and buy this pack and that pack, or basically they've put it to the thing of there's so much on that you just have to buy. They're like, just buy our subscription and pay us monthly for the Sims, because we know you're going to pay for it because you want all the stuff. Yeah. And this seeing, because I did watch the trailer, and like you said, making your own dialogue and all that, and just putting all that stuff, that's so nice to see them actually sitting, taking the time, putting the effort, giving the tools to you, instead of being like, you get the game, oh, but now I want the tools to do the stuff. Because I wouldn't be surprised if this was like, let's say under EA had bought this, they would make the tools, hey, you got to pay another $30 to get the tools.
Yeah.
So it's nice to just give you everything. You can make the game run and play the way you want. And not to mention, competition is good. Maybe this will get EA off their high horse and make them realize, okay, we have to sit and do things right. Doubt it, but
I mean, it's gonna hurt them. So it's gonna have to light a fire under that. Now, they have Sims 5 in development. We know this, right? But the Sims community, like a lot of the people I see talking about this are Sims community people, right? Because they're tired of it and they want something. They love the Sims, but they want all these different aspects. And this game looks like it's going to give that to them. Even basic things that have been missing for so long, since that they had in Sims 2 and 3, or were like transportation items. Like you can ride a skateboard or a bicycle in this game, like. And you can you can do the typical click and move there, but they said they're even gonna let you directly control your Sims if you feel like it, and move them around directly.
Well, that's nice.
And they're even gonna let you, I call them Sims. Obviously, I'm not giving Sims, but they're gonna let you control anybody in the world. So like if you're somewhere and there's an NPC that you see and you want to for some reason control that character, like go ahead. They're not gonna stop. They'll let you do that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about The Sims, like people want to customize and create, and this game is gonna let you do that. They got the color wheel for your objects, so like which hasn't been in the new game. Like I can't just make a shirt. pick a shirt and change it to whatever color I want in Sims 4. When you used to be able to do that. And on top of that, they have like pattern choices. They used to be able to do that in Sims, but now they don't have it. So like I can pick
Carl,
a pattern.
you can do that in Sims. You just got to give me more money.
You got to
money.
You got to get the money.
Money.
Show me the money.
I'll give you. All right, you got it, bro. And this is the early access comes out in September, and my wife wants to play it, so I'll probably get it, and I'll let you guys know.
Cool. So you can be a teacher in Japan, Carl, and then you can tell me your experiences. Yeah.
Okay. I'll be a teacher in Japan.
There you go. All right. Okay. It's time for the topic of the show, guys. So just this past Friday, obviously, Resident Evil 4 Remake was released. We got a remake for first Resident Evil, right? Which is interesting because here in Japan, they're called Biohazard. They're not called Resident Evil. They're all Biohazard games. Biohazard 2, Biohazard 3, Biohazard 4.
So what's this one called in Japan?
Biohazard.
Did they it's called Biohazard 4?
Yeah.
Or just Biohazard 4? Yeah.
Biohazard 4, whatever remake you want to call it, it's Biohazard. Yeah.
Because they can kind of confuse
Take, you can get in here and you can let them know that I'm right. Yeah.
Because in 7 they were it was Resident Evil Biohazard. And I assume in Japan it was Biohazard Resident Evil. Right?
But everybody knows Biohazard. If you say Resident Evil, people aren't going to understand what you're saying. They understand Biohazard. But anyway, so we got the remake for it, and I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of it for you here. And
Take says, "Yep, you're right."
That's right, of course. Take knows what he's talking about. So anyway, so I'm gonna read some of the review roundup for this remake for Resident Evil 4. So GameSpot gave it a 10 out of 10. Kurt Indavina, he says, quote, "Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, second time developer Capcom has doubled down on the brilliance of the original's design, elaborated on it, and finally tuned the experience. The result is a stunning remake that reminds longtime fans like himself of its brilliance, while also introducing an all-new generation to a modern classic and one of the most important games of all time." IGN gives it a 10 out of 10. VG247 gives it a 5 out of 5. VGC gives it a 5 out of 5. Game Informer 9.5 out of 10. So yeah, I mean, high marks all around. Destructoid though give it a 75 out of 100. Quote, "Back in 2005, I like Resident Evil." This is from Zoe Handley. He says, quote, "Back in 2005, I like Resident Evil 4, but I didn't love it. The remake hasn't changed that. Unlike the Resident Evil 2 remake, which was revolutionary, Resident Evil 4's glow up is more of a faithful recreation rather than an overhaul. It changes just enough that if you love the original, I can't guarantee this will leave you unperturbed. Meanwhile, if you didn't like its first iteration, it's not impossible that this will change your mind. The best I can say is that it is an earnest effort at recapturing the magic, and it's worth checking out. It remains, as it always was, maddeningly inconsistent." End quote. So
what?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, what I want to talk about though, it's getting great reviews, obviously, but now it's like, are we going to get more after 4? Is Capcom definitely going to make a Biohazard? I'm going to say it, Biohazard 5 remake. Are they going to make a Resident Evil 6 remake?
No.
What do you guys think? Code Veronica. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, is this a given that with the success of some of these previous Resident Evil games that they're just going to go ahead and pump out another one to try to make more money off of it? Would they be successful with 5 and 6? What do you guys think? Burley, I'll start with you.
I think they're going to continue remaking, but here's the thing. I don't know where they're going to go. Like for 5, you've got to. They changed and removed sections of 4, so I would imagine if you're going to do 5, they're going to do the same with that, because I don't think they will keep for anyone, spoiler if you haven't played Resident Evil 5, but there was the boulder punching scene at the end. If you know any,
I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna keep that, but I could see them doing 5. Code Veronica is the one I'm not too sure, because if you do Code Veronica, there's a lot in that one people really didn't like.
Okay.
So they would want to, if you're gonna remake Code Veronica, you'd be changing quite a bit. But they're gonna keep on this train because they've got 9 in production. They're going to have a team doing a remake and a team making a new one. So whether we get remake 5 or remake Code Veronica before 9, who knows?
I think they're going to put 5 in VR before they do the remake. I mean, that's the trend. I mean, I think, what was it? Resident Evil 7 was put in VR mode as well.
No. Well, that I think launched with VR too. 7 launched with VR. 8 just got the VR with PSVR 2.
Right.
And then
right.
This is getting VR soon. Remake 4.
Yeah. So I think they'll do the VR run with 5 and 6 first, and then they'll do the full remake.
I don't know if you'd want to do VR though for those. Those games are not that as well popular in the series, and since VR is quite a niche market, I don't know if you want to do it. Like Resident Evil 4 made sense to put VR because that is like one of the highest selling in the franchise. So it made sense to get it in VR. I don't know about for 5 and 6, because 5 and 6 are completely different games because they're all co-op based.
Yeah.
Because in both games, every chapter you're playing, and in 5 you're playing as Chris or Sheva, and 6 there's the 4 different stories, and you're partnered up with 2 characters each. So
right.
I don't know how well you'd want to do that with VR.
Yeah. Carl, your thoughts on all these remakes?
I think it's tough to predict what they're going to do, because I believe they have kind of dried up the well of the biggest, favorites in the franchise.
Right.
Resident Evil 4 for many is considered the best, or Resident Evil 2 is considered the best.
Yeah.
And they've done those, and then they did Resident Evil 3, and the success on that wasn't quite what I'm sure they would have hoped.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe there's a couple of reasons for that, besides, as far as the quality of what's in that game, the content. But for the large part, that game is Resident Evil 3, right? Resident Evil 3 was a shorter game, and it wasn't as robust as Resident Evil 2 or 4 for sure.
Right.
So if you were to do, Resident Evil, Code Veronica, or 5 or 6, those games aren't as beloved. They all have, there's fans of those, but I don't think you're going to get the return you're going to get out of 2 and 4 that, well, obviously you'll get. You might get what you got on 3 or even less.
Yeah. I'd probably wager less.
Yeah. Maybe they won't do it because they would look at the numbers and realize what might happen. I do have like a sort of an oddball idea that I think is interesting. Is that remake Resident Evil 0?
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because Zero needs a lot more work, but I think it would be worth it to make that into something much better than it was.
Yeah.
And it does have co-op elements sort of to it, right? You had the 2 characters that you could switch between that you had to do, but it wasn't 2 people playing at once. It was one single player and you would switch between them.
Yeah.
And it does, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they do go back to the mansion in the first game at some point, do they? Or at least
I think so. Yeah.
It's been too many years, so I can't.
Yeah.
I want to say yes, but
let us know in the comments if you played it.
I don't remember, but I do know Rebecca Chambers is one of the main characters who is from the original Resident Evil Stars team in the first game.
Stars.
So I think there's, because a lot of people are like, oh, they should remake Resident Evil 1 again, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, we know that story so well. I don't really think there's much value in doing that again. But 0 has enough relation to 1. Maybe you could add more of the mansion into that first, and so if you want people to play in that mansion from Resident Evil 1 in the full 3D aspect that they have. Now you could sort of do that with Code Veronica, because I think there's some of that in there, right?
Yeah.
Is it like a recreation of the mansion or something? I remember, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah, it's a recreation because you go. It's like, and then there's the one little like castle location.
yeah, and there's a castle. But like I replayed Code Veronica recently, and I don't think there's a lot of reason to remake that. Like it's an old Resident Evil game, and it is what it is. Like I don't think
I agree.
I don't necessarily think you need to. 5, I think you can do a quick remaster. I don't think you should remake. But personally, what I would love is just make a new third-person Resident Evil game. I mean, where's Revelations 3 that was supposedly in development?
Yeah.
You know, not that I played any of the other Revelations, but like if you were to, since those were originally 3DS games, I believe.
Yep,
Yeah.
3DS 1 and 2, and then they ported them to consoles later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those games, that franchise is essentially now going to be a console franchise, because instead of a portable franchise as it used to be, because even the Switch is, not just a portable anymore. So I could see Resident Evil Revelations 3 being like, all right, here is the new, huge, big, robust console, third person Resident Evil game, right? Let's get original new ideas. Like I'm kind of, as good as this game looks, I have that idea in my head. I'm like, yeah, but I played it. Like I kind of want to play it again, but like I don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think 5's coming next, though. I mean, I just, with Capcom, and I think they're just on the money train. I mean, they're just making a ton of money off of these remakes, and why not just, if 2 was successful, 3 was successful, 4 is obviously going to be successful. It's probably the most popular of all of them. Just do 5, then do 6. And then by the time 6 is done, then they'll probably do 8.
6. You can't do 6.
They probably will do 6 though.
6 is hated by so many people.
But they'll remake it and they'll say it's going to be better than before. Better than the first game ever was. So
whatever game they next remake. Let's say they do remake either Code Veronica, RE5, RE0. Whatever game they remake is going to be, and they next remake is going to be the real test, because 4 was obviously, no matter what, is going to be a hit, because that is a fan favorite. The next one, it doesn't, like, whatever one you do here, you've got to really push this next one. But is it going to be enough? Because you're going to have the fatigue set in, as well as let's say if it is RE5. I remember playing this on the 360. I hated this one. This one had all this.
How long was the gap between the remakes for 2 and 3?
I think 2 years. Give me 2 seconds.
Short, but a different team worked on 3.
Yeah. So I mean, like 2 to 3 years, right? So you figure now, what, 2023?
I feel like
maybe
it came out the year after, but maybe it was a little farther.
I'm just looking up.
But say maybe a 2 to 3 year window between 4 and 5.
And that's if they started it, right? They had to kind of started that. And I don't know, 5. I like 5. I actually enjoy 5. I think 5 is a good game.
Yeah, they were a year apart. 2019 for 2 and 2020.
Okay.
I just don't think 5 needs that much done to it. It needs a visual glow up, but and you could maybe improve the controls a little bit, but it's
improve the AI.
Yeah, there's going to be a conundrum in the sense that they're going to get to the point.
You give your AI a bunch of ammo, they will waste it.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously you can do, but that's not a lot of work, right? Like,
yeah. Well, Capcom's just going to get to the point where, they don't have any more games to remake. So they're just going to run out of ideas.
Look, the better choice is Dino Crisis. Like, do a Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
That's doing Onimusha. Well, they did a remaster, and that didn't really work out that well.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I don't think that Onimusha sold well.
But it was like it was a cheap remaster. It wasn't doing anything amazing. Yeah. Like if you were to do, let's say, Onimusha 2 full remake, and like
Mhm.
Resident Evil, RE engine, RE2 4 style, like I'd be all over that, right?
I think a fair amount of people would.
Yeah.
But that was not, I don't know, like, because that was a series I heard of over the last couple of years. I don't know how big that series is, but like for Resident Evil,
Probably not that.
I've kind of reached the point of do I need big Resident Evil games? You can
Well.
make a small, cheaper budget download Resident Evil game because they're not long games anyways. After you beat the first playthrough,
Yeah.
you make a
Well,
smaller
isn't
half the
RE4
cost.
one of the longest ones.
Four is one of the longer ones. I think like it'll take you like 10 to 12, 10 to 14 hours. But like that was the one that started the whole chapters thing, because all the other ones you were in like one location and go outside that location and go a little bit out because
I think when it came to Revelations, I think when they had it on the PS4, it was in chapters as well. I mean, it was like part 1, part 2, part 3, or something like that. It was almost like 3 different downloads, 3 different games to play.
yeah.
So, yeah, if I remember correctly. But anyway. So yeah, Resident Evil, Biohazard. Biohazard out here in Japan, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah. Remakes.
Give me,
Yeah.
give me new, because look, there's so many beloved characters in the franchise. I think that's one a big reason why people love these remakes.
Yeah.
Because we have nostalgia for these characters, and like 7 and 8, they did do well, but like no one cares about Ethan Winters.
I actually didn't mind Ethan.
Let me throw
Not
this
that
question.
He's a bad character, just I don't think he's getting that popularity. And March, you don't see him.
Let me throw this question at you guys, because now you have the trend now with, of course, big, huge games like The Last of Us being adapted into TV series. Could you see some of these Resident Evil series be also adapted into TV series? Like, what was it? The one we had just recently where they were in the White House.
I mean, they've done a ton of Resident Evil adaptations.
They just did a Netflix show actually with what's his face, Lance Hendricks.
Yeah. So what I mean is like will we see more of those now? Not just in remake form in video games, but also TV adaptations.
Well, they've done some of them in like animated. They did like animated Resident Evil movies of basic plots. Yeah. Like the last movie they had was trying to combine one Resident Evil game 1 and 2. I think they'll try again, but it's like, I do, whether or not it succeeds, it's just,
Well, they haven't like an animated film coming, right? They showed that recently. Yeah. They're doing all that. I don't think there's ever going to be big success in that, because Resident Evil is cheesy and that doesn't work in live action. But I enjoy the cheesy aspect. Like that's what we like about the franchise. Biohazard in a lot of ways. Biohazard.
Hey, it worked in the first game for the cutscenes in that intro.
Yeah.
All the cheesy lines, because that
looked the original like live action.
The original for the first game. Yeah. Oh my god, because that fit like 80s cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said Resident Evil 9 is in production. When do you think we get it?
No, they haven't said anything about 9. As far as I know.
They have said it was in production. And
they did.
There has been leaked. There have been leaks.
Revelations 3, like I said, was sort of leaked a long time ago. That was in production, and like I haven't heard of that. It's like, unless they're gonna make that the next game, because maybe you should at this point just make like not even make it Revelations 3. Whatever you were making, just say that's Resident Evil 9.
Yeah, we shall see. But the remake, the remake train just keeps moving, chugging along. So lots of different remakes, not only for Resident Evil, but other franchises as well. We shall see. But
great remakes out there.
Yep, great remakes. And Resident Evil 4, it's going to do well, I'm sure. So, all right. So next up for all of you out there is our new game release picks of the week. So for the week of March 27th through April 2nd. And you can go to releases.com where you can find those games that are going to be released. I'll leave the link here for you. And from our alphabetical order of the games that we've picked, I am first this week. So my pick of the week is Crime Boss Rocky City. So let me go ahead and get this here. So here's the description. Rocky City, a thriving metropolis, buzzing with excitement from sandy bays to towering skyscrapers, but beyond the glamorous neon-lit facades, a fierce turf war is raging. After the demise of the previous crime boss, a power vacuum has appeared for a new king of Rocky City, and there are many sinister contenders fighting for the throne. Choose your crew based on their skills and expertise. Execute daring missions, carry out staggering heists, and maybe you'll walk away with the cash and turf and ultimately the crown. So it comes out on March 28th on PC. On console for PS5 and Xbox Series, it is coming in June. So, yes.
Really?
Yes, that's what it says. Yes.
Huh.
Really? I still remember when that game got revealed at the Game Awards. Me, Carl, and Fry just looked at each other and like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, I was still shocked. Like, it's coming next week, but like I have heard nothing since that reveal.
Yeah, there was. I think Carl and I were talking about this. That we didn't think that they had shown any gameplay of it, but there is a gameplay trailer, right, Carl? I think
There is gameplay footage out there, which I found, which I was surprised because it was never really reported on, like strongly. It wasn't shown at any significant event.
Yeah.
It looks like an incredibly generic first-person shooter.
The reason why I picked it is because of Michael Madsen. I love Michael Madsen. Of course, Danny Glover.
Better have a great story, and these guys better put in some great performances.
Yeah.
I feel like they spent
Mike
a lot
Rucker.
They spent all their money on these actors and like very little on the actual development of the game.
I get that vibe. I think you actually said that when it got revealed.
Yeah.
Good luck, guys. I think this game is gonna bomb hard, and the reviews are probably gonna be terrible.
No, it's not, Carl. It's my pick of the week. It's gonna be the best game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think in a year or two, it's gonna come to Game Pass and come to PS Plus kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be one of those giveaway games.
I think Game Pass has higher standards.
Yeah.
Then
anything with vanilla ice in it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
good stuff, man. Yeah,
vanilla ice,
ice, baby. There you go, man. All right, so Carl, you're up next. What do you got for us? What's your pick of the week?
I picked 9 Years of Shadows for PC only on March 27th.
Okay.
It is fight to bring beautiful colors back to a handcrafted world of darkness and discover the story of Europa, a young warrior, and her ghostly childhood companion, Apino. This reminded me so much of that Record of Lodoss War, D-Lit and Wondered Labyrinth, Metroidvania game I played.
Yeah.
That was on Game Pass. It just has that same kind of art style, and I'm seeing a lot of like cool little elements of swapping between different like elemental abilities.
Yeah. The game that has an incoherent description in the paragraph. Yeah. So,
which one?
Don't even get me started on trying to pronounce or say what that game was. But
the other one I said?
Yeah.
Well, because it's based on an anime, so like it's got the anime title and then it's got its like subtitle. So
yeah.
Whatever. But this looks beautiful. I hope it's good. I don't know this developer. I at first I was like, is it the same developer? Because it has a lot of that feel and look to it, but it's not. This is a common look for these type of games. So yeah, looks like a cool Metroidvania.
All right, Burley, you're up next. What do you got for us?
My pick of the week is Saga of Sins. Saga of Sins is an exploratory action adventure which features a mystical storyline and a rewarding arcade gameplay. Transform into demonic creatures and fight the 7 deadly sins. Coming Thursday, March.
And gluten.
Yes. Thursday, March 30th to PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, and Xbox.
It's Pentiment Metroidvania.
Yeah, there you go.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I'm surprised Carl didn't pick this. It's got Pentiment.
Yeah, I mean, that art style is interesting. It looks kind of weird, and this looks more actiony than anything than like Metroidvania-ish. Even though, those are. I mean, it probably is definitely Metroidvania.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this looks like it'll be a lot of fun and a lot of deaths to be had.
Yeah, and a lot of
wrath. It looks a bit hectic at times.
Yeah,
a lot of wrath.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of wrath when you're playing this because you're gonna be like, free Sinwell.
Yeah, free Sinwell on the 30th, people. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the Metroidvania genre is very robust now. There's so many of them out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. All right. So those are our new game release picks of the week for the week of March 27th through April 2nd. So you can go and check those out on releases.com. And we also have a video here, a video compilation of some of the new game releases as well. So you can check that out here on the Arena Productions YouTube channel. So it's in the upcoming game releases section of the playlist. So you can check that out as well. Go ahead, Carl.
We didn't. I guess maybe I just realized there was Game Pass stuff.
Yeah. So
real quick,
I'm getting to that, Carl. Please.
Oh, I didn't realize. I didn't see it in
the
yeah, well, you did have it in there. I'm sorry. It is in there. You're right.
Yeah. So let me get to it. Okay. So
anyway. Sorry.
But anyway, releases.com, you can check out all the new game releases for the week. So with that said, Carl, what do we have for Game Pass this week?
Yeah, it's a really small one. I was actually a little bit confused. Usually they only don't put like just 2 games for a Game Pass drop.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was just MLB The Show 23 on March 28th, which that is a big game, of course. If you're into MLB, this is the premier game in that. And then you've got Infinite Guitars on March 30th.
Yeah.
And then announced, but coming next month, was Ghostwire Tokyo on April 12th, which we all expected to come, but it's a little later than a year from its actual previous release.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting with MLB The Show 23. They should put like a kind of like a WBC type of mode in that game. Yeah, World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, you don't think there is? I never checked, but
I've never checked, and it probably isn't. But it would be cool if they had that in there. But like you could play as the Japanese team, or you play as the American team, or whatever country's team you wanted to,
or the one Canadian team.
Yeah. Canada has a team, Burley.
Yeah, we have the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
course. They're part of the MLB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you used to have the Montreal Expos, but of course,
right.
they're defunct. Yeah. So, actually, they became another team. I'm trying to remember what the Expos became.
You Americans stole them from us, so we know.
Yeah, but it became one of the expansion franchises, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember which team.
Yeah.
Did they become the other Florida team or no? No.
The Tampa Bay Devil Rays, maybe? Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
One of the 17 New York teams.
No. Do you guys know a little bit of history? Carl, I'm sure you probably know this. The New York Mets. Well, what's interesting is there was one of the, I think, I forget his name, but he was one of the pitchers for the Mets, one of the, biggest name pitchers. And he was playing for Puerto Rico, I think. And Puerto Rico won the game and in the WBC, and they're jumping up and down, celebrating close to the mound. And the guy lands wrong on his leg, breaks his, just completely fractures his leg. He's out for the entire season.
That sounds familiar. Wait, like a recent thing, or is that you're saying that happened?
Recent. Yeah, it happened during the WBC. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of
Brutal.
major leaguers like the Verlanders and the big pitchers, they don't want to play in the WBC because there is a risk of injury, and of course, they have contracts that
your couple $1 million contract, you don't want to risk that.
Yeah, but anyway, about the Mets, of course, the San Francisco Giants, they used to be the New York Giants, right? Yeah. Their colors are orange and black, right? My favorite team, the San Francisco Giants. Thank you very much. And of course,
the Expos became the Washington Nationals.
Washington Nationals. There you go. Okay. And then, of course, you had the Brooklyn Dodgers, of course, colors of blue, and they moved to Los Angeles, became the Los Angeles Dodgers, my most hated team. Obviously, the Giants and the Dodgers, they're the big rivals, just like the Yankees and the Red Sox. But the New York Mets were founded in 1962, and their colors were orange and blue, obviously, because of the Giants and the Dodgers. So there's your history there. Carl, you probably knew that. So being from Long Island. So, all right. Carl, you seem to have frozen up.
Give him a second.
Yeah, he'll be there. I think he didn't want to take the baseball talk anymore, maybe. So.
Here, this will get him. Game Pass is not a good value.
Yeah.
That
killed him right there, Burley. That killed him. Yeah.
Usually that just gets him being like, "You are wrong, sir."
Yeah, here he is.
I was looking up if there's World Baseball Classic content in the show 23, and it says there is. There's jerseys and players from.
Okay.
There's even a video.
Nice. Cool.
That they put out that shows an update that's going to have.
All right. Thanks for that, Carl. All right. So it's time to talk about the games that we're going to be playing this upcoming week. I'm probably going to continue with Horizon Forbidden West, playing some more of the side content. Carl, how about you?
I'm going to keep playing Persona 4 Golden. I do really like it. I enjoy it a lot.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Right.
I might try to play some more Diablo 4 this weekend just because I didn't play a good amount. So I was getting real sleepy. I want to give it another shot because I do like it. I think it's cool. I think the story stuff is really interesting. The cutscenes on it are like really great, really, really well produced.
Cool.
Oh yeah, the cutscenes look awesome for it.
Yeah.
Cool. Burley, how about you, man?
Well, be playing Resident Evil 4 Remake, and
nice.
You can maybe see an extra take coming in the coming days.
Maybe. Maybe.
But I just don't want to promise and not deliver.
Okay.
You never know. Things happen. So that'll be the main game. But I'm actually tomorrow I'll be streaming and trying out for the first time in a long time, trying out Breath of the Wild, giving it another chance.
Okay.
That was a game I picked up, played a couple hours, and just dropped. So it'll be interesting to see how it is.
Cool. All right. So I just want to thank all of you that have come out to watch our episode, of course, of the Arena Multiplatform Gaming News Podcast, episode 127 here. So at our new time at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So we thank you so much. And those of you that are going to be watching later, obviously it will be, of course, here in the playlist later on, the edited version, of course. So thank you so much. And now it's time to end the show with our indie recording artist spotlight. So this week's spotlight is on Tina Mina. Based out of LA, Tina Mina is an artist, songwriter, producer, and business executive. She founded Fiera Music, a boutique sync agency and custom production house through which she releases her own music. So infectious pop that incorporates elements of hip-hop, trendy K-pop, and throwback R&B vibes with a contemporary twist. On top of having her music featured in ads, films, and TV, she's generated millions of YouTube views through her songs. Her work's also been published by Sony, ATV, and Warner Chappell. From her album titled K-Side 2, and the song is called Dead to Me. So this has been The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, episode 127. I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burley of Burleman Gaming and Turn-Based Carl. We hope to catch you in the next one. So take care, everyone. Peace out. And enjoy the outro.
Dead to me, RIP buried. 무리들이 몰려온다 사자해라 미리. Dead to me, RIP buried. 무릎 꿇고 고개 숙여 반성해라 피리. 왜 이래요? 잘못 오셨네요. 상관없는 자에게는 묻지 마세요. 손 깨끗이 씻고 and I live to tell the tale. 못이 박히기 했지만 coffin and a nail. Bury so deep in your excrete. 누구 탓해? 다 네가 한 짓. I've been mute, I've been discreet. 알만한 사람 다 알아 나 in these streets. 시끌벅적 동네 시끄럽네요. 시끌벅적 많은 사람 많네요. Come hit you and run. They coming for your ransom. 나 어째 call you lawyer. 뭐 막아 can't do nothing for ya. I said come hit you and run. They coming for your ransom. 나 어째 call you lawyer. 뭐 막아 can't do nothing for ya. Dead to me, RIP buried. Angry mom coming for your pitchforks ready. Dead to me with no Hail Marys. 이미 뜯겨버린 몸 no casket necessary. 무리들이 몰려온다 사자해라 미리. 무릎 꿇고 고개 숙여 파상해라 피리. 거짓말에 말려버린 왜곡된 사실이. 꽃비 풀린 말이 되면 너는 내게 시신. 어떡해요 다 걸려버렸네요. 요즘이 어떤 시대인데 그런 짓을 해요. 망나니처럼 막 나갈 때 언제 꼭 그세요. 이제와 후회해봐도 달라질 건 없네요. Bury so deep in your excrete. 누구 탓해 다 네가 한 짓. I've been mute, I've been discreet. 알만한 사람 다 알아 나 in these streets. 시끌벅적 동네 시끄럽네요. 시끌벅적 많은 사람 많네요. Come hit you and run. They coming for your ransom. 나 어째 call you lawyer. 뭐 막아 can't do nothing for ya. I said come hit you and run. They coming for your ransom. 나 어째 call you lawyer. 뭐 막아 can't do nothing for ya. Dead to me, RIP buried. 무리들이 몰려온다 사자해라 미리. Dead to me, RIP buried. 무릎 꿇고 고개 숙여 반성해라 피리.